all of me. You can hear me. Let me know in the chat. Welcome, welcome. Good night, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are. We are here for another Leadership Live. If you've been following me for the last couple of weeks, you know that we have been here hanging in. We've been talking about leadership. We've been talking about clarity, specifically about alignment, and just about how you can actually get all of that aligned and restored. And so we are going to really have a good time tonight. So if you can hear, first of all, let me know where you're joining. If you know anything about me, you know that I love to interact with you all in the chat. I can't see you, I can't really touch you, but the chat allows me to at least feel you just a little. So let me know where you are joining from. I love to know who is in the space. I love to know how global we are. I think I already saw we have the UK in the building. I am sitting in my beautiful home in Chicago, Illinois, in the US of A. But we are live tonight on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the platforms. So wherever you are, let me know. You can hear me. Awesome. New Zealand. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's here. Paris, France is in the building. You guys don't sleep. My goodness. Well, thank you for spending this time with me. We're going to definitely keep Instagram up. Official Kenny says, I am ready. Kenny, if you're ready, I'm more than ready. So please let me know in the chat where you are joining from, where you are sitting right about now. Sitting, if you may be driving. Trinidad is here. North Carolina is here. Okay, the Bahamas, I know it's about to enter. I know Africa is going to be in the building. I already know how global you guys are. So this is exciting. I'm gonna be brief. I'm gonna be short, but guess what? We're about to be strong. I'm gonna be strong tonight. There is Africa. Zambia is in the building. Zambia is in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so we're gonna get started. I don't want to waste any time. For those of you that are here already, good, welcome. Thankfully, you are here. For those who are coming in, welcome to you as well. For those watching the replay, I want to make sure that I speak to you because I know that you will be there. Please let me know where you joined from whenever you watch this. We're going to get into it. But I do want to welcome all of you as we come on in and get started. So tonight, we are talking about the problem is not what you think it is. The problem is not what you think it is. I'm so excited about this because these lives have been leading up to something even bigger and better. So please make sure you stay on for the next 20 minutes. I'm going to be sharing what is actually open and happening in a couple of weeks. And we are just touching the surface with these lives. Okay. And so I want to thank all of you, whether this is your first time, whether this is your sixth time joining me on a Tuesday. I want to say thank you. If you've been here, I want to congratulate you. Whether you have been here live, whether you have been watching the replay, Cape Town is here, Liberia is here. Okay. Nonetheless, you have been just kind of gleaning from me, and hopefully something I've been saying over the weeks have been impacting your life. You've been able to apply it. You've been able to think about it. But over these course of the last few weeks, I have just been touching the surface, just giving you a spoonful. But we are about to go all in a couple of weeks for our bigger summit, and I am over the moon about it. Okay, so I want to open up with a question. And I want to get you thinking before we even get started. I want to start with a question. I want you to start thinking about it. How many of you have spent significant time trying to think your way through what I've been calling leadership fog? Just say a me. If you're me and you've spent significant amount of time thinking your way through not being clear or through fog, and the fog still stayed, put me in the chat. Because I know a couple of years ago, this was me. So I'm asking you a question where I was. So let me know. And that thinking looks like, because as leaders, we do things really, really well. We are very good at analyzing. So you analyze it, you analyze your way through fog. You journaled it because someone said, oh, the more you write, the better. You talked it through with someone you trust. And then we are very good at building strategies. We build systems around it. How many of you have done all of those things and you're still confused, still unclear? The fog is still there. If that's you, put me. Wonderful. I see the me's. Okay, good. You are not alone. I want each of you that can look in the chat. We have at least 4 me's from what I can see. So first of all, let me start by saying you are not alone. And I say that and I put that out there because I don't want you to think there's something wrong with you, because there's not. You are not alone and you are not incapable. Let me be the first to say that. You are not incapable. You've just been trying to solve the wrong problem. You've just been trying literally to solve the wrong problem. And so before we go any further, let me talk about what's clear, because in my work with leaders, the leaders that I know, they are not necessarily struggling because they cannot think clearly. They're intelligent, they're smart. Most of them, just like you, are the sharpest thinkers in any room they enter. So I'm not dealing, and I'm not talking about dumb, unintelligent leaders. I'm talking about brilliant, extraordinary, smart leaders who are the smartest people in the room. They're analytical, they're strategic, they practice solving complex problems very quickly, like those type of leaders. They're not struggling because they don't think clearly. And actually, the reason that they are struggling is because they know they're smart. They're the sharpest knife in the drawer, like they say. But when there's fog and things are unclear, it's so disorienting to them. Like they're like, man, how can I be so clear, and so, how can I be so amazing at what I do, but still feel unclear, still feel stuck, still see fog? We have the greatest tools, like most leaders have the greatest tools that keep coming up empty. Their toolbox is full. Imagine being a handyman and you have your toolbox with all sorts of tools to go and solve the world's biggest problems. But yet you can't understand why you keep coming up empty when it comes to clarity. Well, tonight I want to explain exactly that. And we're going to talk about it. So remember, this is titled, The Problem Is Not What You Think, because thinking is not the tool that generates clarity. So we've been thinking that the more thinking I do, the more analytic I get, the more strategic I get, it'll generate more clarity. Thinking is not the tool that generates clarity. Thinking is the tool that executes clarity. And when you try to use an execution tool to solve a clarity problem, you get more information on the inside, but it's coming into a system that cannot process it clearly. So essentially, you're using the wrong tool to solve the wrong problem. And so I want to get that out there. And let me be a little more precise, because some of you, I know some of the questions sometimes I've seen, give us give us a precise example, or sure, so can you explain it a little further? Thinking operates at a level of information. Think of information, think of strategy, think of analysis. Like that's the way leaders are when it comes to thinking. When you are clear, thinking is extraordinary. Okay. When you have full clarity, when there is no fog, and you put thinking on top of that, makes you even a more extraordinary leader, a more extraordinary person. You just become, imagine you're clear and you're a great thinker. It takes what you know and build something with it when you put thinking on top of clarity. Okay. But when there is no clarity, when clarity doesn't necessarily produce at the thinking level, clarity is produced, and I've said this over the last 6 weeks, and I'm going to say it again. Clarity is not produced at the thinking level. It is produced at the alignment level. Let me say that again. Clarity is not produced at the thinking level. Clarity is produced at the alignment level. Someone put that in the chat. Right now, I want to make sure it's there. I want to make sure it stays there. Clarity is produced at the alignment level. I love it. I love it. So clarity is a condition that exists when we talk about alignment, remember those three things: identity, your assignment, and your responsibility. When they all agree, you have clarity. When your alignment and your assignment and your responsibility disagree, that's when you have a problem. So when you have those three things that agree, then clarity is not something you find. You don't go looking for it. It literally is restored and it's present. And then your thinking executes from that stable foundation. When your identity, assignment, and responsibility are out of whack and those things are conflict, that's when more thinking adds information to a system or to you that cannot process it clearly. And it can't process it clearly because you don't have clarity, because you're completely out of alignment. And then that means the foundation on which you think is now unstable. So think of alignment as your foundation, your stability. Everything on top of that, like clarity, is now a symptom of your foundation or a condition of your foundation being stable. So the problem is not what you think. You are not thinking wrong. Please don't let anyone tell you you are wrong. You are thinking wrong. There's something wrong with you. You are not thinking wrong. Many of us are just thinking at the wrong level. And no amount of analysis, no amount of strategy, no amount of systems, no amount of thinking is going to produce clarity in a system where the alignment underneath, where the foundation is disrupted. So we could think all we want. We could be analytical. We can strategize. We can go through the motion. But if under that thinking, the foundation is broken, the foundation is unstable, then we will always be foggy. And so this is why most capable leaders are often the ones who stay in the fog the longest. We stay unclear the longest because we have the tools in our mind. We have the tools. We have the framework. We have more strategies. We actually have access to more information, therefore more good thinking. But none of those are going to actually touch the real actual problem. So then you may say to me, Sharissa, this is me. First of all, let me pause here. How am I sounding? I love it. Dalton says clarity is not produced at the thinking level, but at the alignment level. Candace, yes. Identity plus alignment plus identity plus assignment plus responsibility equals clarity. Because when identity, assignment, and responsibility are agreeing, then we are in alignment. Very, very good. Okay. You guys know I love to get in the chat. So all of that, and you still ain't touching the problem. So you may say to me, Charissa, then what's the actual problem? So glad you asked. Let me tell you what the problem is not. It is not the decision. It is not the direction. It is not the strategy is the problem. It is not your team. It is not even the season you're in. None of that. All that may sound sexy. None of that is the problem. The actual problem is which dimension of the alignment process or the alignment setup that we just talked about, which of those dimensions are disrupted underneath all those things. So under decision, under direction, under strategy, like there's a foundation. Which level or which dimension of the alignment process is disrupted? Is it identity? Is it your assignment? Or is it your responsibility that's out of whack? So this is going to be the decision that we talk about tonight. And I'm going to ask you those 3 questions that I've been asking throughout the last few weeks. And we're not going to talk about analytical questions. We're not even going to talk about strategic questions. These are actually more simple. Well, they're going to seem more simple, but they're not. But these are going to be alignment questions. So I want you guys to follow me. And if you're following me, I want you to put the question in the chat as I ask it. But I also want you to think about it. And when I ask each of these questions, I want you to allow yourself to filter through the questions and see which one sits where you're at now in your leadership, in your life, because we should be able to enjoy both. Question number one: am I leading from who I actually am right now? Are you leading from who you actually are right now? And I'm not talking about your role. I'm not talking about your title. I'm not talking about a version of you that somebody else is expecting or requiring you to perform. I'm not even talking about an old version of you. Because if any of those are true, then this is where you're disrupted. But I'm talking about who you actually are right now, where God has you in your life right now, what God has done in your life right now. Are you leading from that place or are you leading elsewhere? That's question number one. Question number two. I want you to think about it. I'm sitting with the assignment and I have the ability. Absolutely. Question number two: is the primary work that you are doing right now actually yours to do? You can make it more personal. Is the primary work I am doing right now actually mine to do? Ask that question. Because remember, and this is going to be hard to hear, not everything that you are capable of means that it is yours. Oh, I know we want to be able to do everything. I know we want to be the one that people call on for everything, but not because you are capable of it. Not everything that lands in your inbox is actually available and yours to carry. So the question is, what is your primary work? Meaning, what is your purpose? What is your calling? What is your assignment? That is an assignment question. Question number one was an identity question. Question number two is, what is genuinely, specifically your assignment? If you can say, yes, I am operating in my primary work, then you're good with the assignment. If you actually say, you know what, Charissa, I've been doing what I'm capable of, but this ain't really what I'm supposed to be doing, then you know that this is where you're out of alignment. And then there's question number three: am I carrying this correctly? So when you think about this, the work that you're carrying or the work that you're doing, question number three is a responsibility problem. Am I carrying that correctly? Are you carrying it correctly? Now, I didn't say not whether you can carry, because we confuse capability with clarity. We even confuse capacity with capability, and then we confuse all of that with clarity. Two different things. Not everything that is permissible is necessary. That's scripture. So what I'm saying is, what are you carrying, and are you carrying it properly? Is it even yours to carry? Because whether you can carry it or not, we can carry almost anything. We can carry almost anything if we put our mind and our heart and our belief to it. But whether you carrying it this way, is what the season of your leadership where you are right now, is it actually requiring what you are carrying? Those are the three questions. Hmm. The chats are good. The chat is good. Chat is good. So those are the three questions. And those are the ones that is going to produce more, that is going to produce more clarity. And really, it's going to just bring clarity back. So when I say the problem is not what you think, we think that if we think more analysis, more strategy, more information, that boom, clarity is going to arrive and boom. No, actually, you have to go through, am I aligned? Where's my identity? Where's my assignment? Where's my responsibility? Not more analysis, not more strategy, not more information. The moment a leader can answer those three questions, and honestly, that's when the fog, that's when stuck begins to go away. And I sing the song all the time because it's the one that comes to mind. Like, I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. Singing is not my gift, but we all have heard that song before, that one line. And then it says, I can see all the obstacles in my way. The only way that you can even see clearly and see all the obstacles is if you are in alignment. And the only way that you're in alignment is if your identity, assignment, and responsibility are aligned. And so as the fog thins, not because anything external changed, because everything else may stay the same on the outside, but the alignment underneath the way you think, the way you move, what you carry, when that gets the attention that it needs, then that's when the clarity that you used to have before returns or is restored. And so a lot of us think that clarity is on the other side of thinking. Clarity is not on the other side of more thinking. Clarity is on the other side of alignment. Let me say that again. Clarity is not on the other side of more thinking. Clarity is restored on the other side of alignment. And that is the distinction that changes everything. So when you think of those three questions, which one of those land the hardest for you tonight? Put it in the chat. The identity question, the assignment question, or responsibility. So just put identity, assignment, or responsibility. Kind of would love to see who is in my space right now. Clarity, alignment. Aaliyah, why are you shaking your head? I wish I knew. Assignment, okay. This is a powerful topic. Identity brings alignment to assignment. When you know who you are, you discern what to carry. Absolutely. Not everything you're capable of is yours to do. Gary, you got it. Yes, I'm a teacher, but my job right now is teaching in the classroom. Assignment, responsibility, clarity, identity. Okay. So you guys are in. Yes. So you're able to sit with it and see, you know what? This is where I'm out of alignment. And it's also important to, once you name it, because I'm glad you can name it. I'm glad you can name it, because once you can name it, once you can figure out where it is, then guess what? You get to treat it, or you get to do something about it. Trying to figure out, Clem, take your time. Take your time. There's no rush. This isn't something that you must decide now, something that you must even figure out today, tomorrow, next week. We're going to even talk more about this in a couple of weeks. I'm so excited. How does other life events such as grief impact your clarity? Ooh, Candace, great question. They're not necessarily impacting your clarity, because remember, clarity doesn't get tainted so much because of what is happening around us. Clarity is what happens when we fall into misalignment, when we fall into self-doubt, when we fall into mistrust. Like those are some of the imposter syndrome, some of those things that would lead to clarity. Grief on its own does not, because grief is a natural form of life. We all go through it. Some of us have, we handle it differently. That is not necessarily what's going to lead to you being unclear. Now, when grief starts to do other things like make you doubt yourself, or make you lose trust, or make you become unaligned in your assignment, in your identity, or in your responsibility, then it's not grief. Then we don't then blame grief. We go back to, where is identity, where is your assignment, or where is your responsibility, and are they aligned, or are they all over the place? Are they in conflict with each other? So grief may be the thing that caused the pain, but then now are we going to look deeper to, okay, so now that there's pain, let's deal with that. Are we going to allow that pain to worsen, or are we going to allow that pain to sit there, do what it needs to do, go through it, and then get out of it? And then that pain doesn't necessarily affect who we are, because your external experiences should not affect who you are to your core. It should not affect your assignment, because that is your purpose, regardless of what happens in life. And it should not affect the way you carry it. So when we start asking questions like, what about grief? And then someone may ask me, what about violation? Then someone may start, all of those now become what I'm going to call excuses. And though those are natural things that happen, or we may go through something, nothing should tamper with your assignment, your purpose, and your responsibility. That's how important those three things are. And so that's why I'm going to talk about them often. Because when we can always be conscious of, am I carrying what's mine to carry? Am I carrying what is required of who I am now? And am I operating from the person I am now, another person that I was 10 years ago? Once those three, if we can answer those questions, we're good. Let me give you a prime example. Candace, you asked a very good question, and I'm going to use me as an example. Remember, 12 years ago this year, I lost my parents in a plane crash, gone. 2014, I experienced grief. I'm still in the grieving process per se. I'm a little on, I'm, it has gotten a little, I don't know if it's gotten easier. I think I've just really understand that I've tried to reframe what has happened. And so I don't look at it as what it was back then, but I also was going through grief. So imagine if I say 12 years later, I can't teach. I can't be in the front of you guys and talk with you and share and influence and impact. What if I said I'm grieving? So I can't, like, there is a decision that I had to make. And I had to decide that my assignment is more important than what I lost. So I'm not saying that me losing my parents wasn't important, but at the end of the day, my purpose and my calling for why I was born is more important than what I lost. The way I carry what is mine now, I can't carry what I carry now the same way I carried it 10 years ago. I'm a different person. There's a different version of Charissa operating now from the version of me that operated 10 years ago. So now I look at the leader who's leading, I look at what has always been mine to carry, and I look at who I am, regardless of whether my parents were here or not. And I said, Charissa, how does God want you to operate? Who does God have for you to serve? And what you're going to do about it? And so when I start asking those questions, I am allowed to grieve and still grieve, but I'm also not allowed to use grief as an excuse to why I can't stay in alignment, so that I can always be clear. I hope that sits. Oh, I'm loving this. Y'all getting me started today. Okay. And that was a great question, actually. That comes at the end of kind of what I wanted to share, but I'm so grateful for that. And I hope, Candace, thank you for asking, but I also want to thank those who are just here. I hope what I just said, Candace asked a question, but she asked it on behalf of all of you. And so I hope that there's a part of that gave you a little aha moment, like, aha, I see what Charissa is talking about. And so I'm going to say one more thing before we close tonight. I said we was going to be short, we was going to be brief, but we were going to be strong. Everything that we've been thinking and talking about over the last few weeks, we've talked about the signal and stuck being a signal. We've talked about the cost. We've talked about the drift. Last week, we talked about delayed decision and why. And tonight, we spoke about the level at which your problem actually lives. And so this is the conversation. And like I said, up until now, we've just been kind of scraping the surface a little bit with a spoon, but we're going to go with a shovel and go a lot deeper on April 25th. So you guys are hearing me talk about what's coming April 25th. You have been joining the wait list over the last 6 weeks, whether you saw it on Instagram or Facebook or social media, email, you joined the wait list. Well, I'm excited to say that the Empowered Living Summit, Clarity Restored in Leadership and Life, is open. Registration is open. You can now actually register for the summit. April 25th. It is a live experience, a couple of hours we're going to spend together on a Saturday. And we are going to apply what we have been talking about all this time, especially tonight. to your leadership context and your life. And so, if anything about tonight, if anything that I said today resonated with you, then the space that I'm building for April 25th is exactly for you. So the link is in my bio. So if you check my bio on Instagram, Facebook, even LinkedIn, you will get the link. The link is also, I will send it by a text right now in the comment section. It's there in the comment section of this particular live or anything else coming up. If you DM me the word summit, SUMMIT, you will also get the registration information there. But registration is open. Like I said, I am excited. I just put the link in the comment section right now as we speak. I will put it again. But yeah. So next week, I want to plan something before we go. Because tonight, we kind of addressed what clarity is not. And we talked about the problem being what you think. And what clarity is not is a product of more thinking. So we understand that I don't got to keep thinking, trying to get unclear. That's not the solution. That's not the problem. Next week, we're going to describe what clarity actually is. So we spoke about today what clarity is not. Next week, at the same time on a Tuesday, we're going to talk about what clarity actually is. And we're not going to talk about it as a concept, because you all know what it is, a concept. But I actually want to discuss it as a lived experience, like what you actually live in your life and what you actually experience in your leadership. Because a lot of the leaders in this room, a lot of the leaders in the space that I work with, they've felt clear before. Like, how many of you have felt clear before? There's been a time in your life, a moment in your life, a season in your life where you felt clear. If that's you, say me. Say, I've been clear. Say clear. Put clear in the comment, in the chat, if you have been clear before. Like, you know there was a time when you were clear. I know. I knew the times when I was clear, but then I also knew the times when I wasn't. And that's why this summit is called Clarity Restored, because we've all been clear at some point, which means we've all been aligned at some point. And then something happened that kind of made our alignment out of whack. And now we got to go back to restoring that. Because many leaders have felt clear before. They've led from that place before. They've been in the fog long enough that they have quietly stopped believing that they can still go back to clarity, or that clarity is still available to them. And let me be the first and the second and third person to tell you, it is. Clarity is still very much available to your life. It is something that will restore the minute that you can get more aligned with your identity, assignment, and responsibility. So next week, we are actually going to talk about remembering yourself right here when you are clear. We're going to talk about you remember yourself when you are clear. So next Tuesday, 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Central, same place, same platform. We'll be here. If tonight conversation has resonated with you at all, hopefully, and I would love to put it in the chat. There's something that I said tonight, or something that stirred up in you, and you recognize that you've been trying to solve a problem on the wrong level. Drop it in the chat. Like, when you think about tonight's conversation that we just had, what is one thing that you've been trying to solve and you realize, yeah, this is me trying to solve a wrong problem? I'm glad you used your grief experience to clarify. I know my purpose, I function in it partially, but I'm blocked by my thoughts about some personal family legality issues that allow to cause anxiety. Yeah, Avali. And sometimes there's so many things that we can use as, and I'm going to use this word very loosely, but they're hindrances, they're obstacles. Remember the song? I just sang the song. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all the obstacles in my way. All of those things that you just mentioned, those are obstacles. The personal family legality, that's an obstacle. Grief, that's an obstacle. Anxiety, that's an obstacle. Depression, that's an obstacle. And so it's like, even now, it's imperative for me to stay in alignment so that I'm always clear, so that I can see obstacles like grief. It's not, and you know when it comes, my parents' birthdays, my their anniversary, my birthday, when I got married and not having a dad there to walk me down the aisle, me having children and my parents not being there, like all of those were obstacles. And if I wasn't in being intentional about staying in alignment with who I was and what my assignment was, because the fact that I'm still breathing, I say this all the time, the fact that I'm still breathing means there's something left for me to do. And so if I'm still here, yeah, my parents aren't, and it hurts, but then there's still work for me to do. So it's important that I stay in alignment so I am clear enough to make sure that all of these other obstacles don't take over. So hope that helps. Clarity opens doors for concise connections that definitely align you. The other way around. It's because you are aligned that clarity is present, and now you're able to open the doors. And clarity doesn't necessarily open the door. Clarity, because in my opinion, capability sometimes can open the door. Clarity is what allows you to know which door to enter. Because your capability, sometimes your capability will be the one to open multiple doors. Clarity is very, it could be what's the word I want to use? It can be synonymous to discernment. Clarity is what says, okay, my capability or my skill or my ability or my potential, my talent allowed 5 doors to open for me. Clarity, which is based on alignment, which is based on who I am, what is mine, and how I'm carrying it, says, yes, Charissa, 5 doors are open, but which door should you enter? Because maybe all 5 of those doors aren't for me. Maybe just one door is for me. Clarity allows me to look at all the doors or look through them and say, you know what? Even though this door is open, and even though I have the capacity to walk through it, it's not the door for me. When I look through the door, this is the one that's for me, because what I can see through, that is in a line with who it is that I'm carrying, my assignment and my responsibility. So there's a difference. I've discovered even before this call that I've had to start over again with identity. Candace, I totally get it. That was me. And I say that because many times, I was like the old version of me was no longer the minute my parents died. The minute my parents died, that was an identity that I had to, that died. However, I was grieving the loss of them, but I was also grieving the loss of a version of me where they were in my life. And letting go of that version was very hard. So for years, I want to say for about 7 years, I struggled right there in the identity part. 7 years. 7 years. You guys have heard me say the story from time to time. And so there, we have to know who we are at the core, but we also have to notice when our identity shifts. So I was a woman who had 2 parents. That's an identity. And then in a heartbeat, I was a woman now who had no parents. And I was very close to my parents. So I had to figure out what that looked like. And then 7 years later, now I'm a woman with no parents and married. So that's a whole another identity. And then 2 years in, I'm a woman with no parents who now married, and now I have a child. That's another identity. So there were versions of me that I had to accept and grow into or move into to make sure that they were aligned with what it is I'm doing. If even now I decided to still be the woman who is struggling 10 years ago, like my identity, and not realizing that, Charissa, your identity has changed, I would be completely out of alignment, and you guys would be able to see it. You will know it. Now, you will know it. Well, you may not know it because, like I say, one thing about alignment, it doesn't necessarily scream. It doesn't scream. It doesn't shout. You don't see it. For 7 years, you guys would not have known that I struggled. I was still speaking. I was still smiling. I looked good. People couldn't believe, Charissa, how do you still look good even though you've lost your parents? Let me show you. But, I'm at a place where now Am I over the grieving process? No, I'm just more aligned. So because I'm more aligned, I'm more clear. And because I'm more clear, I have a lot more order, a lot more connection to who I am, connection to my maker. I have more understanding of my purpose. Like all of that is connected because I'm aligned. It all starts and ends with alignment. So this is good. This is good. Okay. You guys, I promise I wasn't going to be long. I'm not going to be long. I'm not going to let you guys do this. Make sure you are signing up for the uh, uh, summit. I'm going to put it in the chat again. The website is charissamonroe.com/clarity summit. charissamonroe.com/clarity summit. And that you can register for the event. It's going to be on a Saturday at 10 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Eastern time, 10 o'clock Central. We're going to spend a few hours. There's a general admission, but there's also a VIP option for those that want to really get in a private room with me. And we actually really kind of, you ask these questions and we go through them and we do an integration of what we would have learned in the session. So all of that is available, but that information is on the website. Like I said, the link is in my bio. I put the link in the comment section. I'm going to put it again in the chat, and check out for your emails. If you are on our email list, if you are on our wait list, you're going to get an email. So please look out for those emails and register ASAP. Don't wait. And I look forward to all of you being there. Thank you so much for being here, for joining me, for being here on these Tuesdays. Don't forget, same time next Tuesday, we'll be here. The replay for this particular session is on YouTube. You can also find it on Facebook. You can also find it on LinkedIn. So please share this with someone who you think need to hear it. Go back and listen to it twice if you need to, but it is there and available. All right. Until next time, my good people, lead longer, live deeper, leave more. All right. Have a wonderful day. Bye.